I do not want to take credit for this wonderful way of explaining our next guest. Fences are to farming what saltwater is to the sea, but a New Zealand agri-tech firm is tipping out the traditional model of what a farm should look like. They were the words of Richard Rennie from Farmers Weekly this week as he reports on a model of how a traditional model of a farm could look like as technology allows cows to graze behind invisible fences. And he spoke with Halter business manager Steve Crowhurst, who joins us now. Evening, Steve. It's exciting to watch the journey in my media career and yours with Halter developing to this stage now of actually getting out in the field and from the lab. Can you give us a bit of a background for those who are not familiar with Halter's story and Halter's journey?
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for having me on the show. So Halter was created by Craig Piggott, who was he's a mechanical engineer, and he was working under Peter Beck at Rocket Lab, and he was coming down to his parents' farm, and he sort of saw the inefficiencies with time and resource and sort of the grazing aspects of on the farm and pasture harvest, and he sort of thought there's got to be a better way, and then he started developing this technique or working out the technology to shift your cows and fence your cows remotely, basically. Yeah. And that led him to doing a great pitch to some investors in Silicon Valley by guiding the cow around the Morrinsville farm from San Francisco. And that led us to where we are today. So 3 years of R&D to the point where we're rolling out on farm. So yeah, we've developed a collar that's partnered with the smartphone, and that allows farmers to shift their cows, fence their cows, and monitor their health all remotely.
Wow. So simply the press of a button and you can move around cows on your farm without any fences. Incredible. So how long does it actually take to train these cows to respond? And what sort of animal behavioural things have you learned in that 3 years?
Yeah, it's quite incredible. The rules and standards on a farm can effectively get hung up in the shed after the 4th or 5th day. So we train a whole herd in 2 weeks. So we set up a farm in 2 weeks and we just work alongside the farmers' movements. And all we do is, to put it very basically, cows have visual cues already and they have sound cues already on farm. And we basically swap out the remaining visual cues, swap them for sound cues. And sound lets the cows know where they're at a boundary or to turn them left and right, and vibration prompts the cows to walk. And in terms of the behaviour, it's been really interesting seeing a trained herd. The guidance system is all on an individual cow level, so the cows are just listening for their own cue, and it creates a really relaxed herd, less of that sort of herd mentality and hierarchy, and they're all just grazing happily. It's pretty amazing to see.
Will it get to the point whereby you can actually let down a brake for those that need it and the gutsy ones can't get through, so to speak? So it's monitoring based on feed intake?
Yeah, great question. So not only do we shift and fence, we're able to shift and fence cows with the collars, but we do monitor all their activity and on an individual cow level. So one of those activities is grazing time, and we're just completing the actual feed intake per cow. So we're coming up with some pretty incredible metrics for farmers to use, especially when you look at feed intake and milk yield. In answer to your question, we can move cows individually because they have their own guidance system, and that has other applications for if a cow's calving. Hey, why don't we walk it to the home paddock so she calves by the shed to save the farmers a lot of time, or something like that. At the moment, we could identify who's eating more or less, but we'd probably recommend splitting the herd into mobs so they get their own feed they need, their own feed allocation. And typically when you split your herd into mobs, it means more work, more resource, more fences, more shifting. With Halter, you can have as many mobs as you like, and it's no extra work. It's actually much more efficient than your typical way of farming.
Oh, there's so many exciting applications. A lot of people listening and watching live or on demand on Serious Country Podcast will be sitting there going, I wonder if it could do this. I wonder if it could do that. And I'd absolutely love you to put in the comments below what you think that you could have an application that could bolt onto this, that would save your time and energy. Because, I mean, really, who likes brake fencing in the depths of winter in a horrible horizontal snow? No one. It's like dagging wet lambs, Steve. Now, let's talk about obviously how people can get their hands on it, because and how do you make it not so costly? Because that capital outlay of buying a whole heap of collars just sounds very daunting to me if I was to buy it, say, for a herd of 600.
Sure. Well, we look at it a little bit different, where Halter actually retains ownership of the collars, and it's like a subscription model on a per cow per month basis. So Halter looks after all the technology and the hardware. So typically farmers, when they buy a product, there's that aspect of how long it would last, and do they have to spend money on replacing that? We take that all out of the equation, and subscription model, per cow per month. And the beauty of these collars is that the software is designed to be updated in the field. So you've always got the latest technology with Halter. So we can literally send a new software release overnight, and the farmer might have a whole new feature on their phone and collar. Let's say it's milk fever detection or down cow detection. So it's really important that you don't sit with a dated product from day one. You've always got the latest technology.
So do I need to have internet out in the paddock? Is that how it works, or when they come into the shed, it updates?
We do everything for you. So we scope your farm, we set up the communication, we set up your farm, high definition drone map it and put it into the app, so you can see where all the creeks are when you want to fence around swollen waterways and stuff like that. And so, no, we sort that all out for you, and it's we have a communication protocol that sends all the signals out from the shed to and from the shed, yeah.
Oh, well, this freshwater regulation changes from 5 metres to 1 metre seems to be a no-brainer, because then you don't have to have that huge capital outlay, regardless of everybody's thoughts around it. There is these solutions. And I mean, the exciting thing too is this is New Zealand created agri-tech, and the global potential growth of Halter is very exciting from here at home. I'd love to ask you, what are your challenges? And we are going into an election this weekend. What would be your wish list for agri-tech to get that helping hand to be able to maintain the value here at home and not just ship it off to those Silicon Valley investors? Or have we just got not enough access to capital in this country?
Well, the beauty of it, I mean, we choose our investors for their expertise as well, to make sure that we have the most successful, forward-thinking company in the world, basically, in terms of our product. I guess Halter can provide a lot of solutions that I hear or a lot of solutions to compliance issues that I hear on your show around moving the cows off so the grass is not, so the paddock doesn't get pugged, or not having cows on a certain slope of paddock during rain events, or even you want to graze a part of the farm that's dry in summer but wet in winter, and using virtual fencing you can really sort of mitigate all those compliance issues. And I guess from the government perspective, it's like we're here, there's an answer for some of the issues that farmers are facing to be compliant, and we can probably provide a lot of those answers.
Sheep, deer, alpacas, schnauzers that I want to get to come back to me when she's being naughty.
The technology works on applies to any mammal. So yes, dairying's our prime focus right now. There's a strong dairying community in New Zealand, obviously. Our pastoral-based farming is very unique. That's why it's great that we're created here in New Zealand. Our algorithms for monitoring the cow health and that heat detection and whatnot, it's so relevant to our New Zealand farms just down the road in Morrinsville. The technology can apply to a lot of places, so it's pretty exciting what's possible in the future.
Oh, awesome. It's very exciting every time we catch up, Steve, and the development of Halter as it's going as farmersweekly.co.nz entitled, sorry, I've just lost it, Dropping the Fences for Collared Cows. You can update yourself there on what's happening. Steve Crowhurst, from Crowhurst, my apologies, from Business Development Manager from Halter. A pleasure to have you on the show.
This is Sarah's Country.